Here we are, walking around Carisbrooke Castle. Leo, Daisy, and I. Imagine the soldiers marching around here. That's what Daisy just said, and she's absolutely right. Be quite a sight, wouldn't it? There's the mama. Let's revisit our three-phase growth system. Testing. Let's take a look at our three-phase growth system. Yes, excuse the name, that is the electrical engineering me. The three-phase is the electrical current going through your cables. So anyway, what we're doing today is the outbound channel here in our marketing. Okay, how are we going to reach out to potential clients? So that is what we're going to be setting up. Right? And there's a couple ways you could do this, right? You could either call people, you could send emails, you could send Facebook messages, you could meet in person, belly to belly. So that is the section that we're in. We're building our outbound channel. And the only way this really works is if you have a really nice routine and you are consistent in your outreach. That's the only time I've ever had any success, is when I've consistently made calls or sent emails. That is the only time I've ever actually had success. It has to be consistent. How do you create an outbound system? Well, there are really 3 steps. So first thing you have to do is you have to find out where your potential leads, those are your potential clients, where are they currently congregating? All right, there are all these kind of meeting places online, if you want to call it like a marketplace, right? They might be on in Facebook groups, they might be on forums, they might be on YouTube. All right, it just depends where it is for your specific market. For my case, for instance, my potential leads are on groups and forums, but they're also on Yelp. They're also on TripAdvisor, right? So where are they, the people that I need to reach? I need to go and find them, and then I need to find a way to contact them. All right, whether that is going to be finding a phone number, finding an email, finding a Facebook page, or what have you. I have to find a way to contact them. That way I can put that in my list. And then you want to reach out with the goal being to get a small yes, right? I'm not going to reach out and, pitch my top offer right off the bat, because that's quite aggressive and it's more likely to get a no. So really, I just want to start building my relationship with them and getting a very small yes. So that might be, can I send over some more information to you? Can I send over a case study? Can we, really, you want to get them on the phone. If you're calling them or emailing them, you want to get them on the phone again, so that this time you can build more rapport and actually talk about what it is that you might be able to help out with. And you want to get to know what their business is like. So in my case, my small yes is going to be, can we do a podcast together, right? Because that way I can interview them, make them the star of the story, let them tell their story to their audience. I'm providing a lot of value up front, and then I can see where my services could potentially fit in with theirs. So those are just some ideas, and I hope that helps. We have to have this system in place, and we have to be consistent, as I mentioned earlier, in order for it to work, right? So we just want to make this as easy as possible, and it's something that we're going to do every single day from now on, right? This is our outbound system. So I think it's important that we take a minute and just explain the sales process and the sales funnel. If you don't know what a funnel is, don't worry. I'm going to get into it here, just like a top level overview, but you've probably heard that term before. So here's really what it is. Okay, it's divided into these levels. If you think about an actual cooking funnel, like what does it look like, right? It's basically like an upside down triangle. Okay, so at the top over here is where you have all of your leads. Right, the ones that you've collected, meaning the ones that you have found where they've congregated, and you've gotten a name, you've gotten a phone number, you have an email perhaps, and you now have a way to contact them. And over here, just all around here, further out, that's just the entire market. That's the marketplace. So that's everything else. Like these could be, this is the entire economy, but you're looking for leads in your niche. Niche. Comment, let me know what the right way to say it. I'm not sure. These are the ones that you are going to reach out to, whether it's going to be a phone call, an email, a Facebook message, a LinkedIn message, a in-person thing. These are the ones that are going to be on your list. Okay. Now the thing is, you have to keep moving them down the funnel. Okay. So I first learned this from a brilliant finance guy called Ramit Sethi. You've probably seen some of his stuff on the internet. He's really kind of blowing up, but he talks about this sales funnel process. And the next step is to actually qualify them. They become prospects. Right? These are now qualified. What does that mean? It means that you've called somebody, they've answered the phone, and they seem a little interested. Okay? This is going to be a much smaller group than the top one. So, for instance, let's say you reach out to 100 people over here. You might have 10 prospects. Then the funnel can be divided into, there's leads, then there's interested, then there's a callback, a meeting scheduled, and so on and so forth. But I'm not going to get into it. There's really only 3 parts. There are leads, prospects, meaning ones that are interested, that you've reached out to a second time and have actually been on a call. And then, of course, at the bottom here are, let's get the right color here, there are clients. That S is a little bit out there. Okay, and then we're in the green here. Clients. So maybe you reached out to 100 leads, gotten 10 prospects, and out of that, you have in the beginning, your close rate's not going to be very high. So maybe you've got only 1 client. Okay? Now, there are other steps to this. Like I said, maybe you have a prospect and you've set up a scheduled meeting and they don't they don't get on the meeting. Okay, they're still a prospect. Do you remember that very first spreadsheet that we made? Okay, so the goal here is to make $10,000 by the end of the year, right? In this market, we're basically starting from scratch, okay? So if you're following along and you're doing this for yourself in your own business, this is where the numbers start to happen. Business growth is just math. Figure out your numbers. So for instance here, okay, let's take some examples. So for one client here, let's say you're making $1,000 for that one client, okay? And this could be per month or per project or whatever it is. So now you know that you have to reach out to at least 100 people, get 10 of them interested, and then you'll have 1 client. So really for 100, you can rewrite this whole statement, earn $1,000 by reaching out to 100 leads. Now, your numbers will of course improve. Maybe you can get your email is better, or you're better on the initial outbound call. So maybe you can have 20 prospects or 25. So now let's watch the numbers improve. Okay, so now instead of 100, let's say you reach out to 100 still and you got 20 and your close rate is 10%. So now out of these 20, now you actually have 2 clients. Okay, now that's 2,000. So let's say again, you just reach out to 100 and maybe you get 25 prospects interested here, but now your close rate is 20%. Well, now you have 5 clients. Now that would be $5,000. Okay, so these processes all improve the more you do them. But really, I think it's important to understand this sales cycle, because then that allows you to begin to scale your business. Guys, I hope that really helped. It took me a while to fully understand how everything worked. This is something that is really crucial to understand if you're doing any kind of business whatsoever. We'll get more into funnels and how they relate to websites in the next week. This is really the sales cycle. Let's talk about email outreach for a second. So I want to show you a couple tools that I use that are going to make it a lot easier for you to do this consistently. So the first tool that I use is called Lemlist. And it's an outreach automation software, and I really can't recommend them enough. They're fantastic, and it shows you a lot of different stats, who's open, how many have replied, all these different campaigns. So really what it allows you to do is you have a spreadsheet of names, emails, businesses, all that, and you can actually upload them all into the software, and then you can actually customize the messages you send out. It just makes it a lot easier to do that. So I highly recommend you check them out. And it keeps it nice and organized. There's a trial period, and then it gets, I think, for 2 weeks, and then it becomes a monthly billing cycle afterwards. But I really think that this will keep you on track. And every time I've done this properly, then it's really kind of kept me on track. Now, another question you might have is, okay, where the heck do I find emails from everybody? Am I gonna have to collect them myself? Well, sometimes, yes, you do have to potentially start doing that. But then what I like to do is, I like to find and create lists of businesses, okay? And remember we talked about this earlier, right? How can you aggregate all the businesses you might be reaching out to? Well, okay, are they on certain websites? For instance, I'm looking at restaurants, so are they on Yelp, okay? Are they on your local chamber of commerce, potentially? Like, where can you find the names of the restaurants? Because then what you can do afterwards is you can hire somebody actually to go ahead and create these lists for you, right? With their name, their emails, and their phone numbers, and so on and so forth. Because at the end of the day, yes, you're trying to build a relationship with people, but not everybody's going to respond to you. So it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game.
So that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Like, where do you get all of your contacts? And the people that are more responsive, then you spend more time building those relationships with them. Because even though they're more responsive, doesn't mean they're going to give you money right away. It might take a long time. So let me show you a couple different tools that I use where I find people to help me build my lists and then to build my relationships with these business owners. So the first one that I recommend is called Upwork. Now, Upwork is great. So there's the website. You can come in here and find professionals and agencies. So you might just type in lead generation, for instance. Okay, and there you go. Everybody pops up that's doing lead generation. Now, different countries are going to charge different things, and there's different ways of doing it. But oftentimes, what you can do is, if you're trying to find somebody who's going to be, scraping these lists, is what it's called. Yeah, you can do by hourly rate, 10 hours and below, and then you can go ahead and pick somebody, and then you can do a trial period to see how they do, to see if they are up to your standard, and so on and so forth. But this is kind of the first step that you can take to start using some outside help that's going to help you leverage your business, and it's not very expensive. For instance, like to get 100 leads, you might be able to find somebody to do that for $10. So it's not too bad. It's going to depend on the quality, of course, based on how well they do the work, but it's a good kind of starting point. So there's really never an excuse, especially if you are targeting businesses in the US. For instance, during the COVID thing, I ended up doing a little pivot. I started working with breweries, and I come to find out that there was something like 8,000 breweries in America. So that's one of the most amazing things about this country, is that there's so many opportunities for whatever business you're trying to work with, whatever clients you're trying to reach. There's always going to be a place to find them. Okay. Another really awesome spot is Fiverr, and kind of same thing. So you can type in lead generation. So kind of similar thing. Web research for an audience. Just play around with it and kind of find what you're looking for. Then there are things called scrapers and skip tracers and all that stuff, and they use, for instance, a business. They use the business name, and they find the person behind that business name, and then find their contact info. So it's really big in the real estate space, and you can just type that in and you can find all sorts of stuff. Okay, so I hope that helps in getting you to start kind of building your lists. And really, it's a personal preference thing, right? Like, if you send out a blast email to 100 people and you didn't make it personalized to each one, that's kind of like the shotgun method. Okay, you're trying to see who responds. I've done that before, and that could land you some stuff. But the more precise way is to tailor then each email specifically to each individual person. So for instance, let's say you found 100 lists, 100 emails, okay? But now you actually did some research on that person's company, like actual research. You did research on them, what they're up to. Then in your email, when you're crafting it, you might say something like, I saw that you went to USF, I graduated from USF as well. You find some other commonalities that'll make you connect with that person. Now that, of course, works a lot better than you just kind of blasting it off. That, of course, takes more time. So you have to kind of figure out, like, well, am I just going to play a numbers game where I'm going to try to just blast off 100 of these, or try to be more specific and rifle them over? So you'll find a nice balance point that works for you in your industry. Okay, guys, hope that helps.